All right, guys. So now we are going to talk about the skeletal muscle and tendons. Well, basically, this is the pathway through which the skeletal muscles are actually derived. Okay, this these are the starting precursor cells, which are known as myoblasts. Myoblast cells. Okay, and they are actually derived from the myotome. Okay, myotome that we just discussed. Myotome. Okay, myoblasts are derived from the myotome, and now what happens is that the myoblasts, they change their shape. Okay, they become fusiform in shape. Okay, they become a bit elongated, spindle like shape, and then eventually most of the cells, they which are initially originally uninucleated. Okay, the precursor myoblast cells, they are uninucleated. This is an important feature to be familiar with. Okay, and then these uninucleated cells, they merge together and form a multinucleated long muscle fiber. Okay, and eventually these cells keep on adding up and eventually form a very long single multinucleated muscle fiber or muscle cell. Okay, so this is actually a single muscle cell which is multinucleated. Single muscle cell that is made, which is multinucleated. Okay, okay, these are multinucleated cells, and in the meantime, while this muscle fiber is actually developing, the multinucleated cell is developing. There are certain myoblast cells that remain undifferentiated. Okay, they only attain the fusiform shape, but they do not join in to form the long cylindrical shape cell. Okay, these cells are attached in very close proximity to these muscle fibers, and these cells are known as the myosatellite cells, which are actually the myosatellite cells, and these are actually the stem cells of the muscles, and they help in the hypertrophy hypertrophy of the muscles in order to help them in several adaptations. Okay, in order to grow in size. You know that muscle tissue is a permanent tissue. Hyperplasia is not that prominent in muscle tissue, but the muscle tissue mostly undergo hypertrophy, that is increase in the muscle cell size. Okay, the cell size increases, or these cells are also they come in handy for the repair of the existing cells. Okay, for the repair of the existing tissue. Okay, they actually, what they do is, if there uh, micro tears occur in the cell due to some exercise or due to resistance exercise or due to resistance exercise, usually leads to the formation of the myotear. So what happens is that these cells, they actually they merge together with the myofibers, with the muscle fibers, and then they help repair the muscle fibers, and they also overcompensate the tear. So after the muscle cells are repaired, they become stronger than before. Okay, they've actually undergone hypertrophy when they are repaired with the myosatellite cells. Okay, so let's go through these lines as well. During differentiation, the precursor myoblast cells, they fuse to form long multinucleated cells. Oh, and one thing that I forgot to mention, that in the cytoplasm over here, the special contractile muscle proteins, the actin and myosin, they are secreted in large quantities by the organelles, and these actin and myosins, um, they arrange in regular patterns, due to which the muscles, they appear to be striated. Okay, due to the regular arrangement of actin and myosin filaments present inside the muscles. Okay, so this was actually something I'm assuming you guys might already know, but these are the special contractile proteins, the actin and myosin, and they help in forming those band-like structures present in the striations present in the skeletal muscles. Okay, the myofibrils, they soon appear in the cytoplasm by the third end of the third week. Okay, cross striations, third month, sorry, not the week, month, and cross striations, they appear. Tendons are derived from the sclerotome. Sclerotome was one of the uh, derivatives of the somites, which we talked about. Okay, and they lie adjacent to the myotome. Okay, the sclerotome, they are lying adjacent to the myotome, and these sclerotome help in the formation of tendons. Okay, so muscles are formed from the myotomes, but the ends of the muscles from where they are attached to the bones, that is the tendons, are derived from the sclerotome. Okay, and tendons are regulated by this transcription factor. It would be better if you guys could just learn this name, scleraxis. Okay, it's a function. We are not going into the function or the details of the function of scleraxis, but for now just learn that scleraxis is the transcription factor that leads to a development of tendons. Okay, or that actually regulates the development of tendons. It is a transcription factor. So this was all about the skeletal muscle and tendons. Now, okay, these are some important points that I noted, I thought were important, so let's go through them as well. Okay, the connective tissue of the head muscles, head region, is derived from the neural crest cells. Okay, an important key term. The neural crest cells, we've talked about the neural. We will talk about the neural crest cells in the upcoming lectures, but for now, just remember that these are a type of these are a cell type that give rise to the connective tissue or the mesenchymal, the embryonic connective tissue of the head. Okay, and I told you that it's the connective tissue into which the muscles migrate, and this connective tissue, it determines the pattern of muscle development. The pattern in which the muscles will develop is determined by a particular connective tissue. Okay, and then the connective tissues of the following are derived from the somatic or lateral plate mesoderm. Okay, an important function. This is what we've already done. Somatic or lateral plate mesoderm. What does it give rise to? It gives rise to the connective tissue of the limbs, and it also gives rise to the connective tissue or the musculature of the body wall. Okay, so body wall and limbs. So, and I've given the specific names. Oops, what happened? uh, Sorry about that. Okay, I've also given the specific names of the connective tissue of the body organs actually that give rise to the connective tissue that are derived from the somatic or lateral plate mesoderm. So okay, so the connective tissue in the cervical and occipital region, which is actually somewhere around the uh, next to the head region. Okay, and then the body wall and the limbs. Okay, the head region is from derived from the neural crest cells, and actually it's not just the head, it's also the facial region, the face muscles. The connective tissue of the face is also derived from the neural crest cells. Okay, so the connective tissue of the head is derived from the neural crest cells, and also the connective tissue of the face is also derived from the neural crest cells. Connective tissue of these are derived from the lateral plate mesoderm, and then the pattern in which each muscle develops is determined by the connective tissue into which each cell migrates. Okay, so we've talked about this line as well. Now over here I made some handmade notes. Okay, this is actually a kind of summary of all the muscles and their respective mesodermal precursors. Okay, so let's quickly go over them as well. The head musculature is derived from the paraxial mesoderm. Okay, and it's actually the voluntary muscles of the head. Okay, and almost the voluntary muscles of almost entire body are derived from the paraxial mesoderm. Most of the voluntary muscles. So paraxial mesoderms are the precursors of voluntary muscles, skeletal muscles, and all the other voluntary muscles. Then somatomeres and somites both are present in the head, and the pattern of these muscles and facial muscles. Okay, pattern of the head and facial muscles are derived by the connective tissue, which is derived from the neural crest cells. Okay, the mesenchymal tissue made by the neural crest cells. Then coming to the limb musculature. Limb musculature. Okay, so there are two mesodermal cells, or the two types of mesoderms that give rise to the limb musculature, and we've talked about both of them. The limb muscles are made from the myotome, the ventrolateral myotome, whereas the connective tissue or the mesenchymal tissue of the limbs is made from the parietal or the somatic layer of the lateral plate mesoderm. Okay, this is important. Again, they are derived from the ventrolateral myotomal cells. We've talked about these a few minutes ago, or maybe in the previous lecture, in the diagram. Okay, and the patterning. Okay, the pattern in which the muscles develop is determined by the mesenchymal connective tissue that is already present. Okay, and in this case, in the case of limbs, it's the parietal or the somatic layer of the lateral plate mesoderm that gives rise to the anterolateral mesenchymal tissue, and it determines the pattern in which the muscles develop in limbs. And then finally the cardiac muscles. Okay, so cardiac muscles, again, they are involuntary, right? Both cardiac muscles and smooth muscles, they both are involuntary. So what mesoderm gives rise to them? We've talked about the type of mesoderm as well. This is a summary. So basically, the visceral or the splanchnic mesoderm of the lateral plate mesoderm. The splanchnic or the visceral layer of the lateral plate mesoderm, they give rise to the cardiac muscles and the smooth muscles. Both of them are involuntary. Okay, so again, the differentiation pattern is similar to that of the skeletal muscles. Okay, over here in case of cardiac muscles, we have the precursor myoblast cells, which are derived from the somites. These myoblasts, they differentiate into cardiomyocytes, which are the cells of the heart, the cardiac cells of the heart. Okay, these cells, they'll inside the cells, the organelles will start producing actin and myosin proteins, and these actin and myosin proteins will uh, start organizing themselves, and then they'll form microfilaments, and then the microfilaments will arrange in regular pattern, forming striations over here as well. And you guys know these are uninucleated cells. And by the way, each cardiac myocyte, it adheres to another cardiac myocyte by tight junctions. Okay, and these tight junctions later on in future will form the intercalated discs. The intercalated discs which are present in the cardiomyocytes, they will be formed later on by these tight junctions. Okay, the tight junctions. And okay, this was about the cardiomyocytes. And what about the conducting system of the heart? The Purkinje fibers are responsible for the conduction of uh, the nervous stimuli throughout the heart muscle. So basically over here what happens is that these Purkinje fibers, over here the cells, they have a different arrangement uh, of the proteins, of the sarcoplasmic proteins. The actin and myosin proteins, unlike the other normal cardiomyocytes, they are not arranged regularly, but they are rather arranged irregularly. Okay, the irregular arrangement of the sarcoplasmic proteins, what it does is that it actually leads to the formation of the Purkinje fibers, and that's all you guys need to know for now. Okay, we'll this will be dealt in detail when we'll be doing the cardiovascular module. Okay, and for the smooth muscles that derive from the visceral mesoderm as well. Okay, so I guess that's that.